on Compass News. A shocking surprise to some travelers after their previously approved ESTAs were revoked without explanation. Plus, the latest on upgrades in the works for the Sister Islands to improve access to piped water. And the 2026 World Cup is about to get underway. We have previews and a breakdown of the new rules coming up. I'm Shanda Gallego. Compass News starts right now. A 33-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence following a crash involving a registered e-bike. Police say it was reported the rider and a passenger were thrown from the e-bike after it lost control on South Sound Road Monday evening. Both were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. While he did not comment specifically on this incident, Eric Bush, chair of the National Roads Safety Committee, is reminding all road users that they have a responsibility for their own and others' safety, and that being impaired by consumption of alcohol and other drugs puts everyone at risk. Now, the incident remains under investigation by the Traffic and Roads Policing Unit. The Water Authority is moving ahead with plans to expand piped water for the Sister Islands. It's part of the authority's overall strategy for future-proofing the islands as Cayman's population and infrastructure continues to grow. Over the next 2 years, Cayman Brac and Little Cayman residents will see these plans materialize. Mark Weston explains.
They are expanding the pipeline for customers in Cayman Brac, because currently only the north side of Cayman Brac has access to piped water. That excludes everyone on the south side, everyone on the bluff. We are also looking to provide water services to Little Cayman because we are 3 islands and 1 country.
The Water Authority's expansion plan comes as demand for services continues to grow, with its recently announced July rate increases aimed at funding its planned projects.
The Brac facility will have the RO production plant, it will have reservoirs, it will have a pumping station, and it will also house our new administrative building.
Water Authority Director Julia Frederick Van Genderen says the preliminary work has already begun, with surveys to see where and how deep to dig the wells by drilling cores from the rock on location in the Brac, but also in Little Cayman.
Little Cayman will have probably a containerized RO plant, so it's a smaller thing in a container. It will have storage reservoir, and we are going to operate that facility as a trucking facility.
The Water Authority expects the bids for its projects will be issued by the first quarter of next year.
This year, they are working towards expanding the services in Grand Cayman and the Brac. Next year, in 2028, we're moving on to Little Cayman. And we have to recognize the expansion is necessary because our population has grown.
For Compass News, I'm Mark Weston.
A number of Cayman residents have been unable to travel to the U.S. after their approved U.S. Electronic System for Travel Authorizations, or ESTAs, were revoked without explanation. The situation has also left other impacted residents scrambling to secure visa appointments overseas in order to travel. It comes as the U.S. clamps down on travelers entering the states. Senior journalist Daphne Ewing Chow has been covering this issue, and she joins me now to help explain this issue. Daphne, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Shanda.
Now, before we break down the issue, Daphne, I think it might be helpful to explain what an ESTA is and how it's utilized exactly.
Sure. So an ESTA is an electronic system of travel authorization, and it is a U.S. system which allows citizens of 42 countries to travel to the United States for 90 days or less for personal reasons. And yeah, it's you apply online, and it's supposed to be really streamlined and easy.
Okay, and how exactly is it who is impacted? That's the question I want to ask.
Well, here's the crazy thing. It's completely random, it seems, and I've spoken to quite a few people in Cayman that have been impacted by this, and it just seems very random. People are trying to hypothesize what might have caused them to get revoked, but they're getting emails saying that the status of their ESTA has changed. They go online and check it, and it turns out it's been revoked.
And again, this is people that are applying, not necessarily those that have it.
No, those are who have it.
Right.
So they already have their ESTAs, and there have been a number of reasons that were flagged for why they might have been taken away, but this is all hypothesized, basically. So I got some communication with Lauren Biss, who is, she works with the Department of Homeland Security. She's the acting assistant secretary, and she was telling me that they're updating their AI and comparing information against databases right now. And so people who might have been approved before are being turned down now.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's issues that have been raised around social media, for example. They never used to check social media before. Now they're checking social media. There's inconsistencies between documents and the applications. Prior travel history, for example, if you travel to Cuba post-2021, that raises a red flag. And then there are all kinds of immigration red flags, like if you overstayed your 90 days ever, then it might get revoked, your ESTA might get revoked. If you stay for periods of 2 months ongoing, randomly, they think that you might be trying to immigrate to the U.S., and so they might revoke your ESTA.
So they're looking at a whole bunch of, a myriad of things.
It is.
That dates back, not necessarily anything current.
Correct. And it's something that we haven't really seen before, and it's quite rampant right now, that it's happened to a lot of people.
And you said 42 countries are affected by this.
Well, 42 countries, yes, are eligible for ESTAs. So far, the cases that I've seen are UK passports. I think I saw one Swiss passport that it's happened to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What are the next steps, Daphne, you think are available to people who maybe have found themselves in this situation?
Right. So I spoke with Fiona Brander, who is with Cayman Travel Pros, and she was giving me some guidelines. So the first thing is, do not bother reapplying for an ESTA. It will get revoked again. It has happened to a number of people, so just don't bother. The next thing is, you should probably apply to have an appointment in Jamaica. There are a lot of people who have upcoming travel. For example, you were talking about the World Cup. People are planning on traveling, and the next appointments in Jamaica are like way down in November.
In November?
Yeah, it's crazy. So I know one person who actually went to the embassy in Jamaica and showed them that she already has like travel documents, and they let her come in early. And the US, starting July 1st, is actually piloting a new system where if you pay $750, they'll give you an appointment within 10 days. So that is like hot off the presses, actually. We haven't even reported on it yet.
Wow. Well, Daphne, thank you so much for your coverage on this. I know you're going to keep following this, and we're going to keep following this as well. We must leave it there for now. Senior journalist Daphne Ewing Chow, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And speaking of World Cup travel, the Ministry of Health has shared some tips and guidance for those who are planning to go to one of the biggest international events. Now, health officials are urging travelers to take simple precautions to stay well during large gatherings. Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez, says people should ensure their vaccinations are up to date, protect themselves from mosquito bites, and remain aware of their surroundings. And after returning home, he says it's important to monitor for any symptoms of illness, as some infections may not appear until days after exposure. The 2026 World Cup is expected to have one of the largest turnouts, with 16 host cities across 3 countries. But that's not the only new part of this year's World Cup. FIFA has introduced some new rules and regulations. We'll break those down ahead in sports, as some of the biggest matchups in international football begins tomorrow. A powerful 7.8 earthquake struck the southern Philippines Monday. The quake left dozens dead and hundreds injured. The epicenter was located in the sea off the island of Mindanao, the second most populous island in the Philippine archipelago. The quake is one of the strongest to hit the country in 50 years. triggering building collapses, a deadly landscape, and a 1-meter tsunami along parts of the coast. At least 37 people were killed, including 13 in a landslide in Sarangani province, with more than 500 others injured and 32,000 displaced. In General Santos, several buildings were destroyed, while tsunami waves were detected as far away as Indonesia, Palau, and Japan. The honorary consul to the Philippines in Cayman says so far there have been no reports of Cayman-based families directly affected.
I haven't been notified by anybody who has been directly affected, meaning to say if there are any relatives that were badly affected by the earthquake. I do have a niece who lived in Davao City in Mindanao, and from what I gathered from her, the family is okay, and I think everything is okay on their area. I mean, there was no tsunami that resulted from this earthquake. I do know that there are some roads that were, or bridges that were actually also destroyed, but the president made sure or gave instructions that all those roads should all be repaired or made accessible so that help will be brought to those families which are affected by the earthquake.
Search and rescue efforts continue as authorities work to restore access to affected communities, with damage assessments still ongoing. And in Cuba, residents felt the effects of a 4.3 aftershock last night after a historic 6.1 magnitude earthquake rocked the northwest coast on Monday. Seismologists say this was the strongest quake felt on the island nation since 1880 and shook some parts of Mexico and Florida. There have been no reports of any major damages or casualties, but authorities are continuing to monitor aftershock risks. Cuba's economic crisis is worsening, and regional experts are warning the consequences there could have some knock-on effects for us here at home too. Let's break this down. Cuba is continuing to grapple with power outages, shortages of essential goods, and economic hardship, leaving millions of people under pressure. Speaking on Compass Business show Signal, regional economist Marla Ducaran says the situation could have a direct impact on the Cayman Islands, particularly if more people attempt to leave the country.
I think that's a huge problem that's not as geopolitical or political as it seems. It's really a social and humanitarian problem that even CARICOM has just issued a communique on. These are 11 million people that are really on the edge, and I really hope that that gets sorted out soon.
You can hear more analysis from Marla Ducaran on the next episode of Signal, which airs every other Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. right here on Compass TV.
Well, after the flood alert was issued yesterday at around 11 o'clock, we didn't actually get that much rain here in the Cayman Islands. Well, in Little Cayman and Cayman Brac, they actually got a bit more than we did here. But it's been quite bright and sunny today, 88 degrees, coming out of the wind coming out of the east at 16 miles an hour. You can see that disturbed weather that somehow managed to cross us without bringing us that much rain. We got a little bit in the morning. This is Grand Cayman here, Sister Islands, Jamaica here. You can see it shifting off now towards the Gulf, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, because the National Hurricane Center has actually flagged an area for potential development. Very low probability. This is that area there. You can see it moving across towards the Gulf. So this is where they've given a 10% chance over the next 7 days, almost zero chance over the next 2 days, as that area of disturbed weather moves into the Bay of Campeche. And there's a possibility that something, that a disturbance or depression could form. Very low probability. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. No threat to the Cayman Islands at the present time. So the Cayman Islands National Weather Service have issued the statistics for the month of May. We have been talking about the El Nino coming online fairly soon, and they were suggesting less rainfall for our area and higher temperatures. That seems to be borne out already. We can see the average temperature normally in Grand Cayman in May is 83.3 degrees. 85.1 is the temperature, nearly 2 degrees above average came in. Also far less rainfall, 2.6 inches of rain was recorded, and that is up against an average of closer to 6 inches here for Grand Cayman. A similar situation was seen in the BRAC, much warmer than average, also quite a bit less rainfall than normal. So Chandra did mention that 4.3 magnitude earthquake yesterday at 8 o'clock. Again, just a fairly light tremor, didn't really cause any issues for them. There was also another one, slightly larger, 5.1 magnitude down off the coast of Costa Rica, quite widely felt. Also in places like Managua and Nicaragua, they felt it as well. Small little light tremors in the Eastern Caribbean Sea, no problems though for that. Up to 200 million people are at the risk for very severe weather across parts of the plains and the Midwest. Could see golf ball size hail in places, tornadoes, winds approaching 100 miles an hour as well, gusting to in some parts of, as I said, the plains and the Midwest. 153 flight delays in Chicago today, 80 flight cancellations when quite a severe storm moved through with lightning. And so we'll have to keep an eye on that. So tonight's forecast, 83 degrees, wind coming out of the east-southeast, 13 miles an hour. That wind is dropping down, and the waves to are much calmer this evening and tomorrow. So tomorrow, 86 degrees, wind coming out of the east-southeast, 15 miles an hour. You can see the boaters, much better conditions. That small craft advisory has been dropped. Should be nice all around if you're getting out to Stingray City. It should be dry tomorrow. Should be beautiful conditions. Could see a little thunderstorm passing by as we get towards the weekend. And with that, we're going to head back to Chandra on the news desk. Actually, we'll go to break. Sorry.
The long-awaited 2026 FIFA World Cup is less than 24 hours away. This year marks the biggest tournament in the sport's history, expanding to 48 teams. Action kicks off tomorrow at 2 p.m. Cayman time with Group A matchups featuring Mexico versus South Africa and Korea Republic versus Czechia. Both games set to play in Mexico. Heading into the opener, Mexico sits 14th in the FIFA World Rankings and enters as the clear favorite against 60th ranked South Africa. But there's pressure. More than 80,000 fans are expected to attend, and the host nation will be playing their first game on home soil. Form is on Mexico's side as well. They're unbeaten in their last 8 matches prior to the tournament. South Africa, however, comes in having lost all 3 of their pre-tournament friendlies. And match 2 kicks off at 9 p.m. Cayman time with Korea Republic taking on Czechia. Sports analysts are keeping a close eye on 25th ranked Korea Republic, who could make an impact in this group. A strong opening performance could put them in position to challenge Mexico and push for a spot in the next round. But this year's tournament is not just the biggest. It will also feature several new rules and regulations introduced by the International Football Association Board, including an expanded role for video assistant referees, or VAR. To help explain these new rules, we caught up with FIFA certified video match official and Cayman Islands FA Club licensing officer Benjamin Whitty.
There's a few that have come in. We now get involved in second yellow cards, whereas before we weren't allowed to get involved. So we need to really make sure that this is a second yellow card because we're sending off a player. And sometimes, you know, referees get it wrong on the field. They think something has happened for a second yellow card. It clearly hasn't happened the way they've seen it, and we haven't been able to get involved, and now that player has to leave the field. So I think that's a good one to bring in for us and for the team in general, to make sure that we get the right decision in, especially when it comes into sending off a player. When the referee awards a corner kick and it's clearly a goal kick, we've been trying to protocol didn't allow us to do anything until now, but we've been using little words and little tricks in the VAR or the VOR, the video operating room, to help the referee in that situation, because ultimately what we don't want is an incorrect corner being awarded and then from that corner a goal is scored.
Okay, so another new rule could see players sent off if they're caught covering their mouths with their hands or shirts during confrontations.
in the high-profile games, or not even in the non-high-profile games, there's a lot of racial slurs that go around, and when you cover up your mouth, you can't get the lip readers to be able to hear see what you're saying. So especially when things flare up, I think the most notorious incident was the Vinicius Junior one when he was playing in Champions League, I think. Honestly, I don't know why you would cover up your mouth to talk if you're talking to a mate or a teammate or an opposing player, or even after the games, I see players just walking around like this, covering their mouth, as so what are you saying that's nobody else can hear, like, or see?
If these and several other new rules prove successful, many FIFA-regulated competitions, both international and domestic, could follow suit as early as next season. That's it for sports. More news after the break. From the Cayman Islands across the Atlantic, 2 men have begun their transatlantic journey with the hope of raising awareness and funds for prostate MRI research and screenings. For Dr. Yahrong Rado and his flying partner and prostate cancer survivor Rudolf Kadritsky, it's their mission to bring to the island a UK Transform trial, the largest prostate cancer screening trial, a state-of-the-art way to detect prostate cancer early in men.
Prostate cancer is one of the main diseases that men get, and until today there is no good test. There's the prostate-specific antigen test, the PSA test. It's a blood test. It's very unspecific, and it doesn't really help, to be honest. It's like there's no. We try to use it because we have no better screening tool, and MRI seems to be a non-invasive, quick screening tool that is available on island. And I hope to bring that as a standard of care. The idea is, or the hope is, that we can do this not only as an adventure, but also to do something good at the same time.
So far, over $30,000 have been committed to the mission, with about $500,000 left to go to accomplish their goal. That's all the time that we have for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, take care.